This is the story of an animal that spent 200 years being completely misunderstood, an animal that looks like a shrew, moves like a tiny antelope, and turns out to be a distant cousin of the elephant. 20 recognized species of elephant shrew live exclusively on the African continent, and nearly every single thing about them defies what you'd expect. Before this video is over, you'll see this small, overlooked creature in a completely different way. We start at the beginning, with a name that is almost entirely wrong. Back in the 1800s, when European naturalists first encountered these animals on expeditions through Africa, they did what scientists have always done when faced with something unfamiliar. They found the nearest recognizable thing and named accordingly. The long, flexible, trunk-like nose called to mind a miniaturized version of an elephant's trunk, and the small, fast body looked enough like a shrew to seal the deal. Elephant shrew. Filed. Done. The problem is that both halves of that name point in the wrong direction because these animals are not shrews, and the connection to elephants is not about the nose at all. Calling an elephant shrew a shrew is roughly like calling a dolphin a fish, where the surface resemblance is real enough, but the biology underneath tells a completely different story. That's why scientists today largely prefer the name sengi, a word rooted in the Bantu languages of Africa, where these animals have always lived, and a name that carries no misleading baggage. It just means the animal. Throughout this video, you'll hear both terms: elephant shrew when the focus is on how the world has understood them, sengi when precision matters. DNA analysis in the 1990s produced a finding that genuinely unsettled the scientific world, and it came down to a single question: what are these animals actually related to? The answer: elephants, manatees, hyraxes, aardvarks, not shrews, not rodents, not anything that physically resembles a sengi at all. An animal small enough to fit in one hand, sprinting through the leaf litter of an African forest, shares a more recent common ancestor with the largest land mammal on the planet than with the tiny, mouse-like creatures it physically resembles. That's not a metaphor. That's the actual family tree. Explanation lives in a concept called convergent evolution, which is what happens when two completely unrelated animals independently arrive at the same physical solution to the same environmental challenge. Sharks and dolphins both have torpedo-shaped bodies, but one is a fish and one is a mammal, and their shared streamlined design came from the same pressure, moving fast through water. Nature found the same answer twice, through entirely different paths, and the sengi-shrew resemblance works exactly the same way. Both animals occupy similar ecological roles. Small, fast insect-hunting ground dwellers, and evolution shaped them along similar lines without any shared lineage whatsoever. The superorder Sengis belong to carries the name Afrotheria, a grouping of mammals that all trace their origins to Africa and share a deep ancestral connection that, for most of scientific history, nobody knew existed. The other members include elephants, manatees, dugongs, hyraxes, aardvarks, and tenrecs, which makes the sengi essentially a very small, very fast, insect-eating member of one of the most unexpected family reunions in zoology. 20 species spread across a surprisingly wide size range, from animals roughly comparable to a large mouse all the way up to individuals weighing around 700 grams, which puts them closer to a small rabbit. Body length runs from about 10 centimeters to 30 centimeters without the tail, and the variation between species is considerable enough that a first-time observer might not immediately recognize them as relatives. The nose stops everyone. Long, pointed, and independently mobile in a way that most animal noses simply are not, it sweeps and probes and presses into soil and leaf litter and crevices as the animal forages, moving almost like a finger searching in the dark. Watch a sengi hunting insects, and the nose appears to operate semi-autonomously, constantly in motion, while the rest of the face stays composed. Those eyes are also worth noting. Large, out of proportion to the body, and deliberately so. Most small ground-dwelling mammals operate at night, where big eyes would be wasteful, but the sengi runs its days under full sunlight and needs all the visual range it can get for spotting predators before they close the distance. Every wild sengi on Earth lives somewhere on the African continent, a distribution that flows directly from their history as Afrotherians, a lineage that originated and diversified in Africa long before the continent looked the way it does today. Within Africa, the habitats they occupy span an almost implausible range for a single animal family. The